Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. My name is Abitsi Nairo, and we're playing Edge of Reality on a weird schedule. And we should say a prayer for Moobot, because it seems to be dead. Well, I got a code for this, and we're going to check it. You know the drill. Let's go. Well, hello, my personal nightmare. The door behind had slammed shut, creaking with rusty hinges. I never liked this place. Everything here is so saturated with dust that it is difficult to breathe, and the measured ticking of the clock gets on my nerves. One cup of coffee in the world will immediately become more beautiful. In the kitchen, nothing has changed since yesterday. There was an unfinished copy of The Old Curiosity Shop on the table. The mountain of coffee mugs did not wash itself in the sink. I have been thinking about hiring a cleaner for a long time, but I'm afraid that my landlord will not like the resultant delay in payment. I do have to spend the night right here. It's very loud, isn't it? And it is not the best prospect for a person allergic to old things. After coffee, I took the tattered book and went to my workplace. I had a crazy idea to do the cleaning, but my sleepy brain rejected this idea, like how my sister would undoubtedly reject the offer of her next boyfriend. I changed to a noir tone today. Where is the cursor? Why did my sister not beg for the salt pawn shop from grandfather? She loves junk so much. My grandfather was of a different opinion and believed that business management is a purely male affair. I could tell from his reaction whenever he would meet the current businesswoman. Sitting comfortably, I lazily opened the book, determined to finally read it. But someone rang for me. Sorry, are you already open? Ah, yes, come in. The visitor was wrapped tightly in a shawl. I could not see her face under the hat, except for the tip of her nose, which she kept trying to hide from my eyes. It looked funny, a little silly even. Perhaps the girl has skin problems and thus doesn't want to show herself? The girl carefully approached closer. I want to hand over one thing. The stranger placed on the rack a brooch made of dark stone with numerous specks of amber. It was the first time I saw such a skillfully crafted piece of jewelry, in the form of a spider with long pointed paws, which it seemed he himself could hang on your clothes. And how much do you rate it? This was partly a rhetorical question, but sometimes people not knowing the value of things they sold hold a ridiculously low amount. which, I confess, was beneficial to me. Nothing. I just want to give it away. For free. May I? This is not just a trinket. In any case, this is your decision. Having estimated how much it can cost, I wrote in a thick, battered journal, "Brooch with a spider," and asked the girl to sign opposite. I went to the warehouse to find the least dusty place for the jewel. While the girl was filling out the data, a small box was found for the brooch in one of the closets with jewelry. "It would be better, miss, if you provide the full name, not just the initials." I did not have time to return to the counter before the stranger disappeared. In the open journal under today's date was the name, lonely standing, Rose. At night, I could not sleep for a long time. I had a premonition of something bad. But when fatigue nevertheless prevailed and my mind plunged into darkness, nothing could stop this nightmare. It was a strange dream. I clearly realized that everything around was unrealistic, but that did not diminish my fear. Scientists call these nightmares sleep paralysis. In it, a person feels that what is happening is a fabrication. Usually a dream is a copy of reality. The one who has fallen asleep lies on the bed in his room unable to move, watching himself from the side. They say these are very scary dreams. They can change a person. He will remember for a long time the horror endured, fearing to fall asleep again. I felt sweat come out of my forehead. I even saw it. My spirit seemed to be pushed out of the body. It was an unpleasant sensation. At first nothing happened. It seemed like an eternity had passed when I noticed something dark in the corner of the room. At first it looked like a shadow. Then, like a black smoke, then the something took on a humanoid shape. He was a tall man in a solid suit and tie. His face was still hidden by a dark veil. The impression was made that he did not have a face at all, only the smoke that poured from his ears, nose, and eye sockets. An inexplicable panic began to seize me. I rushed from corner to corner, trying to get closer to the light, but all I found was darkness. Meanwhile, the man took out something from his bosom and dropped it on the floor. The only thing I saw was something that seemed like a spider, heading towards my body. I looked at myself. I began to feel chills. Shadows lay under my eyes, as if someone or something was draining away all of my strength like a ghoul. The spider slowly climbed to the head of the bed and stopped. Now I could see it better. It was the brooch that was handed over to the pawn shop today, but alive. The stone spider trembled a little. The man grew agitated. The smoke became thicker. His hands clenched into fists and his black back arched sharply. He tried to make a hint of a sound, but only wheezing came out. Then the shadow hit a nearby nightstand. The roar made the spider twitch, but no more. "Hey, Ruben! How are you?" Furious, the shadow quickly escaped from the corner and hung over my body. Smoke filled almost the entire room. It became difficult to breathe and see. I watched in horror as the shadow made the spider move its stone legs. The brooch writhed in pain, but purposefully approached me. The spider climbed onto my chest and began to tear the pajamas shirt. But I could not do anything. A sense of hopelessness choked me. My skin was seared by the cold, sharp paws that scratched like blades. There was a smell of blood in the air. The brooch seemed to just dig into my flesh, trying to climb its way right into my heart. I twitched, wheezed. My face was distorted by the grips of pain. Careful. The burning feeling no longer resembled cold. was burning from the inside. I was dying. I was definitely dying. Yeah, just a little something extra, I think. In the morning I hated the whole world, an obvious consequence of the nightmare. And now it seems I had slept for 7 hours, but it feels like I had just run several kilometers. But a couple of coffees and I'm nearly back in good condition. A day passed and the whole imaginary happening with the brooch no longer worried. I saw no more strange visitors in the pawn shop, and I must admit I would have completely forgotten about the incident if not for one person who arrived today in the middle of the day. And I will come on Monday, if you do not mind. Yes, of course. Do not forget about my recommendation. Bye. The client was about to leave, as the bell tinkled on the door of the pawn shop. Hello? Would you do me a little favor? Before me a handsome-looking man stood. He was very tall, so tall that I had to lift my head to look into the interlocutor's eyes. He constantly tapped his fingers against a thin metal cane and squinted his eyes slightly throughout the conversation. Directly from the doorway, the man had evoked some respect. Greatness oozed from him, who was obviously some big shot in the town. But what did this gentleman forget in such a place? You see, I'm looking for one very important thing. He handed me a sheet with a schematic drawing of a brooch with a suspiciously familiar spider. Have you received such a thing? Yes, I have. In very strange circumstances. I took a closer look at the man. His face seemed familiar to me, but I just could not remember where I had seen him before. Then I want to buy it. But first, I should take a look at it, if that doesn't bother you. I must be sure that this is the thing I need. No, I definitely saw him somewhere. Such an ominous smile would be hard to forget. But where? Okay, sit down for now and I'll bring the brooch. How's it going, Hoover? The man headed for the free chair for visitors. I had to remember where I put this little thing. I wonder why he needs this brooch. This is clearly a feminine jewelry. Well, so what? Men buy women's jewels, right? For themselves or to give it away. The treasure box was found quite quickly. The man had only just managed to get comfortable when I returned. Here you can see an exact copy of the picture. Great. You can't even imagine how grateful I am. Overjoyed, the gentleman laid aside the cane and carefully picked up the jewelry. The anticipative smile did not leave his face. He wanted to say that touching things were not allowed under the rules, but did not have time. I am ready to give you 15,000 for it. Will such a price suit you? Men had called such an enormous sum for such a trinket. If it seemed strange before, now it was even more suspicious. Of course, this is not my business, but I would like to know what is so valuable in this tiny brainchild of the drunk jeweler. No, let's stay out of it. Curiosity killed the cat. The man began eagerly tapping his cane. Excellent. Of course, the price suits me. Having paid, the man hastened to leave, leaving me alone in my curiosity. Maybe I should have asked. For a long time I tried to remember where I had previously seen the gentleman, but I did not succeed. Perhaps I saw his photo in the newspapers, or perhaps he is a famous politician, but for some reason this thought continued to haunt me. Did I just unlock an ending? I regretted not asking him. I guess not. The rest of the day I spent reading the book. Let's not. Nothing good to talk about. There were almost no visitors and no strange events. Yes. Are you also learning sentences like Anna? Does the sailor say it was only the calm before a storm? I need your help. The first client next morning was a pretty girl whose voice was familiar to me. The same stranger who gave me that brooch. Today the girl looked different. Her restless eyes expressed panic. Her breathing was sharp, and the hastily laid hairstyle was disheveled from running. She was clearly in a hurry here. Well, Movement has been revived. Oh my god. It's unbelievable. This is my automatic message, but I like having it. Okay. Well, there's Melty. Enjoy, Ruben. Enjoy. How's it going, Melty? How can I be of service? With a quick step, the girl went up to the counter, trying to calm down on the go, but in vain. You got right Nova. Are you liking it? Have you played? With a quick step, the girl went up to the counter, trying to calm down on the go. In vain. Judging that the conversation would not begin soon, I offered the girl a glass of water. She did not refuse. Thank you. Take your time. It's Raiden Weber Survivor? Okay. I mean, why not? Did you like that first person Survivor game? Vampire Hunters? Calm down and I will listen to you. Rose, that is how the girl introduced herself. Drank a glass of water in a single gulp. Her hand with a roar. Single gulp her hand. Maybe, generally not a first person shooter guy. Okay. Weird. Weird segue. With a roar slammed it on the rack, almost breaking the glass substrate. which I barely managed to remove. What is the matter with her? Looks like all the troubles of the world have just collapsed on her fragile shoulders. By the way, Rose was indeed a fragile girl. She was too thin, despite the fashion standards for magnificent bodies in our time. She looked like a child, just as pretty and innocent, but with a tremendous power in her hands, as it is worth noting. You owe me a helping hand. I owe you nothing, lady. That brooch that I gave you the other day, is it still with you? Please say it is so. This brooch again. What is it about it that everyone needs it? This joke is starting to bother me. What do I answer with? Can I trust this Rose? I decided to be honest with the girl, although this will disappoint her. No, I don't have it anymore. Yesterday somebody bought it, so I can't help you. The girl's gaze was glazed. Her hands began to tremble. She seemed about to cry. Ruben, no! Don't ask that. People are not, people will volunteer that information if they want to. Her hands began to tremble. She seemed about to cry. That's the last thing I need. No. No, 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 no. Late. How could I be late? Rose said something else, but through her sobs the words were impossible to make out. The girl in despair hid her head in her hands. It seems that this thing should not have been bought. But then why did she give it to me? Well, stop it. Why did you give it away, since you did not want the brooch to get into the wrong hands? Controlling her emotions, Rose tried to pull herself together, but her voice was still trembling. Was the buyer a tall, bearded man in a solid suit? Yes, your friend? No, no, no. It was supposed to get to anyone else but that person. But why? Doesn't matter. The only important thing is that this person cannot be trusted. I need to get it back at all costs. Help me, please. Please help. You are the only one who has seen him in person and survived. I felt sorry for her. But what can I do? I'm not a detective or investigator that can scour the town in search of a man. I'm just a pawn shop receiver and nothing more. No, sorry, lady. The money I received yesterday was enough to rent a good flat and live about a year without working. Why be greedy? Everything is going pretty well for me, but this girl now seems even more suspicious than yesterday. No, I will not help. But I will give you some advice. Trains in our town are not frequent, and today there are no trains planned, so the person who bought the brooch is still in the town. If I wanted not to be found, I would go to the forest northwest of the town. The locals are afraid to go beyond the edge. And now goodbye, and I hope fate will no longer drive us together. A week later. Well, John, what brings you here? Coffee? To be honest, I'm here on business. Witnesses say that about a week ago a young girl came to you. Dark hair, such a thin one. Do you remember? It's better off not remembering. Yes, I did. She handed over an old brooch and I never saw her again. Can I take a look at this brooch? No, somebody has already bought it. What happened? John hesitated. This girl was found dead. The local children ran into the forest for a bet to see who would go furthest into the thicket, and the bravest one ran into the old church. You don't remember such a thing, probably. I myself have just learned about it. The body was there, an expression of horror on her face. The coroner said she died of fear. Her heart was broken. All the kids are sitting at home next to their mothers and nannies. No one will go into the woods for several more years. I won't know what could have scared her so much there. The policeman sighed. Okay, I'm sorry that I came with such a sad story before you go to bed. Good night. Dan couldn't bring himself to release the handles of the chair. The knuckles had already turned white. The pain bound his joints. He knew that his night would never be good again. What the fuck? Thank you for your time in the game. Oop. Now we got a bad ending.
Ready to hear, ready to listen. I've got something to tell you about. Ready to see, ready to witness something that is
English translator, Língua de Bruxa. What?
little closer.
Is that someone's name?
I'm waiting for you. Yes, that is better. Don't be afraid. Ready to hear, ready to listen. I've got something to tell you about. Ready to see,
Where is the cursor?
ready to witness something that is hiding in crowd.
Okay, I
Come, little
spread
closer.
only.
Come a bit nearer. I'm waiting
On which playthrough?
for you.
Let's ask what it is. If it's not a secret, what is this thing? Shouldn't that be the... Huh? Well, sure. What? For a moment, the man's face contorted as if he did not like my question, but immediately became friendly again. Strange reaction to such an innocent question. Maybe he realized that he had lost by offering such a large sum, as I still did not know of its value. This brooch is one of the treasures that my beloved grandmother left me as an inheritance. But unfortunately some of the jewelry was stolen and now I'm looking for them all over town. Apparently the thief decided to sell them in pawn shops to earn some money. Why was the brooch given to me in exchange for nothing? The person who bought it did not look like a thief. I don't know about that. It doesn't concern you anyway, young man. I named my price, so would you be so kind as to do your job? The harsh tone left no doubt this man was lying. But he was partially right, because this is absolutely not my business. If I reject, I die, I guess. All this seemed to me too suspicious. Whatever the price of this little thing, the fact that he was ready to pay such a sum without bargaining was alarming. You know, according to our rules, I have to hold the thing for a while in case the owner decides to buy it back. I'm back in a couple of weeks. The gentleman growled distinctly, and then I did a stupid thing. I turned my back to the bell ringing above the door. A sharp blow and I went blind. Ooh. My vision returned and the gnawing temple allowed me to raise my head without blowing it up. The pawn shop was already empty. Slowly and carefully I got up, holding onto the counter. There was no box with a brooch in it. My head was cracking, and I couldn't even think, so I went to sleep. Only I knew that tomorrow everything will become more complicated than it already was. I need your help. So, okay, I will help you in fighting this person, but I cannot do much. First you need to figure out where to look for him, and... Without letting me finish, Rose leaned over the counter and hugged me tightly. Because of her impulse, I became speechless. The girl smelled of sweet perfume, and I felt my heart pounding in my temples. Thank you, I heard her sobbing. Trying to pull away as gently as possible, I broke out of the sudden hug. An embarrassed silence hung between us. To smooth out the awkwardness, I went straight to the front door, explaining our next steps as I moved. Since we have such an urgent matter on our hands, then we should deal with it immediately. I should look at a trophy guide. Edge of Reality, 18 trophies. I gotta be careful. I really haven't decided on a Platinum 300, but I am very close to it. Edge of Reality trophy guide. Should deal with it immediately. Yeah, need help. I missed one, but I'll do it later. The rusty hinges on the door were reluctant to yield, but I managed to overpower them. My brain simply refused to think, and in order not to overload it even more, I methodically, one after another, closed numerous locks on the iron monster. What are you doing? I did not answer this question because the closed plate I had turned up already said a lot. I think there are enough visitors for today. Do you have some paper or a notepad in your purse, maybe? Without waiting for an answer, I went into my makeshift kitchen, arranged in the back room. Rose followed. Oddly enough, the paper in the purse was found. Hey, Echo! And not only paper. The girl excitedly dumped the contents of the bag onto the small table. Pens, magnifying glass, book without any identifying inscriptions, inkwell, and a pencil. The apotheosis of all this, of course, was a small stack of paper. How does it all fit in such a small space? That's what she asked. Some secrets are best not to know. Where do we start? It is worth considering where he could go. To begin with, I propose we go to the police station. I have a friend there who may know about strange events in the town. The buyer has long been looking for this little thing, and you, miss, along with it, I suppose. Let's be less formal, then. In this case, it is not important to stand on ceremony. I did not argue with Rose. For me, ceremonies are not that important, as for example, somebody like my sister, the inveterate brawler and coquette. Okay, Rose. Then look and listen. I need your opinion. Aye, aye, sir. The girl shoved me sideways and buried herself in her recording. It amused me. She looked like a little offended hedgehog. On the paper an inscription appeared in a beautifully rounded handwriting. Police Station. This is illogical. It only takes our precious time. We are looking for the man himself, but he would not go to where he can be revealed or recognized. This is too risky. Do you have other suggestions? What would you do in his place? I would have gone away from here. Northway Town is a port town. He could sail away by ferry. No, he couldn't escape by water. Ferries do not go during low tide. It is too dangerous. The only quicker way out of town is by rail. Rose frowned for a long moment, pondering what I said. It was clear that she doesn't know the town. Okay, then, we'll inspect the station. He could be seen there. For a moment the girl thought, when suddenly her face lit up. I remembered that this morning Madame Delian complained to the commandant that her apartment had been ruined by somebody. She threatened to file a report with the police. The buyer could have found out which house I was staying in and tried to steal the brooch. Write it down. This is not enough. Where else could he go? Maybe you have abandoned buildings, forest, river in the town, or somewhere near it? They're the words of Rose, I thought. We had abandoned places, but they are guarded, and people often pass by them. There was no river outside the town, only the bay where the fort was located. But the forest was one such place, such that it was easy to get lost in, consisting mainly of tall coniferous trees growing very densely. It was shrouded in black darkness, which caused horror even to non-superstitious people. I was there only once, when my grandfather and my sister went looking for mushrooms. There it is. Outside the town there is a forest. He could take refuge there. Great! Then let's check the forest. But which of these places should we visit first? I think we'll go around the town first. I don't really want to go to the forest. They say that someone had already gotten lost there. We'll go there last. Rose looked at me disapprovingly, but said nothing. Police station. The first choice fell on the police station, where I was hoping to meet an old friend, with whom we had once studied together. Not to say that our relations were close, but they could be called friendly. You'll see, this is the most positive person I know. You will definitely like him. Once, when my company and I had a fight with another faculty, he had a noisy party, where he gathered everyone and we settled all the conflicts peacefully. I wish you saw their faces when they knew we were there. I'll remember those faces forever. Apparently, he really is a good person. But what made him go to work for the police? Some of this English is a little rough. Oh, his unbridled thirst for justice. But alas, he is too soft for the harsh policeman, although he himself will never admit it. It would be interesting to learn something about Rose's school years, but I could not foresee her reaction. And you? What were your friends like at school? I had no friends. Oh, I'm sorry. Police station met us with this cordiality. People ran past, someone even nearly knocked me down. Everywhere there was an unprecedented noise and din. The stacks of papers and documents were scattered whenever possible. Panic reigned here. What happened here? Silence was the answer. The last time I was here, the picture was different. It seemed that laziness herself settled in this place. But we really need to know about what happened. Making my way through the chaos surrounding us, I noticed that every employee who ran by had the newspaper in their hands. Sometimes not just one. The cherished door was closed. But before I could knock, it swung open to meet Dan? Unexpected meeting you here. I hope you came here yourself and were not delivered in a police car. Came by myself. I have a business for you, John. Then come in. Always glad to meet dear guests. Guests on a police station? For God's sake, Dan, introduce me finally to your companion. I am bursting with curiosity. We went into the office, exactly similar to the previous one, only tidier. Unlike the other rooms, it was quiet here. Unbearably quiet. John, this is Rose. Rose, this is John. John, we have a problem. John greeted Rose with a joking bow, and in the blink of an eye became serious. Always at your service. What's the problem? We need to find one person. It's very urgent. Your friend? Has he gone missing? It is better not to be friends with such people. This man came to my pawn shop yesterday and bought a thing that should not have come into his hands. Only I saw him. We have neither name nor other information about him. He also attacked. I do not see anything illegal. The thing he bought, it is now his. The fact is that something irreparable can happen because of this thing. The buyer knows how to use it. You could say he bought a massive weapon. I was no less surprised than John. Such a power in such a tiny little thing. I didn't know that you handed me a bomb. This is not a bomb. And what then? The girl hesitated. She clearly did not want to reveal her secrets, but her eyes expressed persistent curiosity. This is a very powerful time bomb. Very funny, Rose. So what did this man look like? Still thinking about Rose's unsuccessful joke, I told John everything, inside out. Its useful features, the ability to talk to any person, how it failed. That is amazing. Most likely, he is a stranger and he is not in the database. This is very similar to the case we are now investigating as a whole apartment. As you may have noticed, no one is sitting idle. What case? 2 days ago, someone sneaked into the museum, into the hall with precious jewelry. The alarm went off, but he managed to leave, left a message on one of the walls, over which the best linguists and decipherers of the town are still struggling to the code. You can go there and ask the guard on duty. Officially, of course, he is not obliged to tell you anything, but he is rather talkative. But it is true that he does not like the press. John gave us a newspaper, on the front page of which was a huge article about a mysterious robber. This is what we need. Thank you. She joyfully shook hands with John and flew out of the office with the newspaper in her hands. I don't know what you got involved in, but I think this may help you not get hurt. Hold it. Confiscated it yesterday. John handed me a gun with its hilt forward. Don't be afraid. That bully apparently was a joker. Instead of cartridges, inside the gun were rubber shells. Can you imagine? You cannot kill in such a way unless you shoot somewhere close to the eye. You can neutralize somebody for a while. It's a very unpleasant sensation getting shot by rubber shells. There are few shells. If something happens all of a sudden, shoot and run. Just some friendly advice. Oh yes. What a weird girl. Do you know if she is local? I do not advise, friend. She is not your type. Who needs a quirky girl? Melty, of course. John said nothing else, only smiled slyly and, patting my shoulder, left the office. Perplexed, I went after Rose. Rose's hotel. We went to Rose's rented apartment because there had been a commotion there just recently. Somebody had crashed Madame Delion's apartment at night. I wanted to know more about this story, but something was stopping me from asking questions. Rose obviously didn't say much. I did not get the chance to ask you, but it would be interesting to know. Why did you come here? Think you're gonna grab a burger today? You should go to McDonald's. I hear one of their newest workers got promoted. Despite how stubbornly Rose pretended to be local, it was clear that this was not so. It's easy to find out, strangers. They, as a rule, give themselves away through expensive clothes, a manner of holding, and complete lack of knowledge about the town. I came from a small town in the north, far from here. That's all I can say. I'm sorry. It's okay. Don't say it if you don't want to. I'm not a monster. Thank you. They got to an inconspicuous two-story house with carved stucco trim, small windows and small balconies with flowers. It looked pretty nice, it should be noted. I was always amazed at how women can create comfort from nothing. What? Near the house, voices were heard. One, the loudest, belonged to a middle-aged lady in a magnificent outfit, and the other, quiet and somewhat colorless, belonged to an elderly concierge with a shock of gray hair gathered in a bun. The lady was actively gesticulating, emotions alternating on her face one after another. Now she was angry, and then her cheeks turned red like a tomato. Now plaintively wrinkled her forehead or begged with her eyes for help. I felt sorry for the old woman, for she had listened to the complaints of Madame Delion for an hour. As you might have guessed, the local police officer did not resolve this issue and left things up to chance, and now others would have to suffer. But then the question arose, why on earth would Madame Delion tell us anything? It is unlikely that she is so stupid as to speak about her problems to any first comer. To be an investigator? I apologize, madam. Could I take up some of your time? I feel a little bothered by not having done all the trophies in the walkthrough. Let me just do that really quickly. Holy shit, Nora! How's it going? I want the smash burger. I don't know what that is. Okay. Let's go back to the other side. I apologize, madam. Could I take up some of your time? I'm from the police. They sent me to interrogate you about what had happened. The woman looked at me carefully. It's only one woman. Looking at each other, they nodded, and the concierge hastened to leave. I am good, Norwick. I am good. Oh man, I saw something that I was gonna send you, and then I don't know why I didn't. Sometimes I think I'm not gonna bother people. It was like a birthday cake with, but it was Ace's dead body, just his torso with a hole in the middle. And it was like, what the fuck? Are you interested at all in the remake? I heard they're not censoring anything. I wonder if we're getting Ace's actual tattoo in the back. Probably not. Why not? Because it looks like a swastika. Just flowing the opposite way. Oh, why not be interested? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do love some of the fillers. So, cutting some of those fillers out kind of hurts. In my opinion, the filler where, after Skypiea, when the Sunny lands in the middle of a marine base, they disguise themselves as marines, and it's just shenanigans. I love that filler. Love it. Yeah, I like it way more than the Davy Back arc. Is that what it's called? I think so. I think it's way better than even the random OVAs, like the World Cup OVA is incredibly funny. Yeah, I agree. Those characters, just whatever you put them on, it's gonna be funny. It's the Davy Back arc, right? The stuff, everything that includes Foxy the Silver Fox, I don't like. It's the worst part of One Piece for me. Clearly heard a sigh of relief from the elderly woman, but I did not show it. Like Rose, standing a little distance from us. Of course, I will answer your questions. The Long Ring Long Land arc? I guess, yeah. It has Afro Luffy? Yeah, I mean, it's One Piece. It will never be shit. It will always have good things. But I think it's the only actual arc that feels like a filler and is worse than the fillers for me. I would rather cut that. I'll answer your questions, but not here. I think it would be interesting for you to take a look at what the scoundrel did. With a grand air, Madame Dillion gestured us into the house and went forward, wailing on the go. Oh, this cruel man, the destroyer of my abode! A mistake of nature! Forgive me for my rudeness. He burst in night and smashed everything around. In my rooms were very fragile and unrepairable things. This is unthinkable, just unthinkable. The woman said something else, but another thing caught my attention. But how did you not hear such a noise? I was away, and when I returned, I saw this. Oh my god! The horror! She stopped near the door with number 17 on it, and opening it, ran her hand, showing this. The room was indeed crushed. Here and there pieces of furniture were lying around. Fragments adorned the dirty parquet, and mountains of clothes sticking out from under the cupboards perfectly complemented the picture. This is just one of the rooms. It seemed like a train passed through here 3 times. Now it's clear why Madame Dillion was so angry with the police. Repair will cost her a large amount. Why did you decide that the break-in occurred at night? After all, you were away. House is guarded by a concierge during the day. You saw her at the entrance. Not a single gentleman has slipped past her into the rooms of the young girls. But she doesn't spend nights at the post, so the robber came at night. The woman spoke so importantly and proudly about our employee that doubt began to creep into me. It is unlikely that such a cute old woman to be a cavalier of young girls in nightmares. Huh? What was stolen from you? Madame looked at me strangely. She definitely suspected something. I wrote everything in my statements. You've read it, right? Maybe you're not an investigator at all. Apparently I'm a bad spy. The woman baffled me with her question. Continuing to insist would be foolish, although necessary. I must ask in person, regardless of what you wrote in the statement. Be kind to assist the police. After my attack, the woman fainted. Looking down, she apologized and continued the story. What is surprising is that nothing was stolen. I spent all day sorting through the scattered things, but I did not find a single thing missing. But what should I do with the repair now? You must catch this fellow, so he pays the bill for broken things. None of your neighbors noticed oddities. Noise, maybe? No, I asked the neighbors on the floor, but they did not hear anything. Some, like me, were not at home that night. For example, the girl behind you. She also stopped here in the next room. But what are you doing here, miss? Rose had been standing in the doorway all this time, not daring to come in when the woman noticed her. I was just interrogated by the investigator near the house. He asked about you. I just decided to make sure everything was fine with you. The girl smiled tightly, trying to smooth out the oversight, but her lie was obvious. However, Madame did not focus on this, but it's better to leave now than to reveal ourselves so silly. It's amazing how she could even believe us. Another question, Madame. When was the break-in made? 4 days ago, and I waited for you until today. But 4 days ago, Rose was not yet in town. It does not converge. This place has nothing to do with the mysterious buyer. We had spent our time in vain. Are you sure? Well, let's end here. I will do my best to catch the criminal. Finally bowing, I hurriedly went outside. After a while, Rose joined me. What a pity we didn't discover anything. Just wasted time. But we know for sure that the buyer is not connected in any way with this place. Do we? Okay, railway station. We stood at the train station, the place where, according to Rose, this whole story began. Strange things happened on the way here. Really? Which one? I heard of elephants flashed past the compartment every night, it seemed to me. And in the afternoon, exactly at noon, different people knocked on the door. From a conductor, which is not very surprising, to a little boy from a completely different carriage. It was very much like a nightmare. Oh no, people knocked on the door. It was interesting to find out how she even decided to come here. What could make her leave her homeland? Rose, why did you come here? The girl got nervous. A light sweat appeared on her face. She was now almost like the girl who broke into my pawn shop today. Will you believe me if I say that it was because of my nightmares? Nightmares? How is it possible that because of some dream you run off to the end of the world? You still don't believe me, Dan? That's cruel. The station was deserted. What else could you expect if there were no trains today? Hell, the ticket office is closed, we have nothing to do here. I noticed that Rose was staring at me. Her gaze was restless. Is something wrong, Dan? No, it's just that very unpleasant news can be waiting for us here. Look over there. I point the finger towards the ticket office. There was a closed sign. Yes, I see it. What is it? The cashier has a day off, but the ticket office should work continuously. There should be a second cashier for this case. Come on, we are all humans. We all need a rest. Let's instead check out the next train by which the buyer can leave. Still feeling a little uneasy, I followed Rose. The stand surprised us with its minimalism. There was only one date in the train schedule column. Tomorrow. This is already getting too weird. We, of course, do not have trains that often, but not so rare. But now we know for sure that our buyer will not go anywhere until tomorrow. Well, not by train. We settled on that. True, when I left, I noticed several suspicious scarlet spots on the closed sign. Having decided to confide in Rose this time, I did not attach any importance to this. Uh-oh. Museum. Following the John step, the John step. So the loo. We went to the town museum. Strange things are happening in the town, and the police is short-handed or short-brained, so much that they could not catch the mysterious criminal. On the way to the destination, an interesting discussion occurred between me and Rose. Damn. Short brain, huh? I can't say, Dan. Why do you not understand? Why can you not understand that such secrets do not please me? What does she care about pleasing her? Do not parry a question. Why do you change topics? This girl cannot be convinced. Just think, I feel like a little experimental animal. Is it really so hard for her to tell me what exactly I'm helping her with? Dan, don't be sulky. This is not a game. Just trust me. I beg you. I'll explain everything to you, but later. I did not answer. I hope I will not be disappointed by her story. On the way to the museum, I grabbed the girl by the elbow and pulled her to the nearest trunk. Look how many police there are. They are unlikely to approve of our intimate conversation with the guard. What do you suggest? I was hoping to take a look at the drawings that block the walls. The window of the first floor is open. Let's take a look. The girl looked around, quickly going to the window and looking inside, standing on her toes. This is clearly not a room with jewelry, more likely to be an archive. But just look at the mess here. As if someone was looking for something. Hurry up! Help her go in. The girl squeezed easily through the window and opened the second pane for me. Oh, why did I neglect my morning exercises? Huge shelves of books, folders, and boxes of scrolls were pushed back. Something was lying on the floor. Rose glanced briefly through the books, found nothing interesting, and turned to the table. Suddenly she suddenly changed her expression and took out several scrolls from under the table. Despite the open window, the room was twilight dark, and the girl, rummaging in her purse, pulled out a flashlight. If you still don't believe me, read this. She gave the flashlight to me and crossed her arms over her chest. What? Morpheus, the deity of dreams, one of the sons of the sleep god Hypnos, the grandson of the goddess of revenge Nemesis, He was mistakenly portrayed as a young man with wings on his temples. In fact, he looks like a gray-haired old man. Research. What's going on? Why are we screaming? No worries, Scorpion. How are you? Hello, hello. Exact location of so-called Kingdom of Morpheus is unknown. Nothing in the version of Mount Olympus. Okay, well, why are you reading this? Somewhere next door, steps could be heard. Not wanting to be caught, we hurriedly left the museum building, closing the window behind us. Okay. This now. What? That there are old scrolls stored in the museum and someone recently took them out? Based on our findings, museums exist. Rose snorted. What a coincidence! My artifact, which commands dreams, disappears, and someone so happens to become interested in this exact topic that is covered by the archives in your provincial museum. During the conversation, we were at the entrance to the museum. The passage was crossed by a guard tape. The guard stood nearby and smoked. The policeman got bored and from a distance started enthusiastically sharing opinions about what had happened. I decided that we would not find a better time to talk with the guard. Remembering my sad experience as an investigator, I did not go alone to the guard. I went with Rosa. Rosa? I thought she was Rose. Telling her to start the conversation herself. Excuse me, do you work here? Looking around for company, the guard grimaced with displeasure. What? Another reporter? I already told your colleagues everything. What do you want from me? No, sure not. We just live in a house opposite the museum. We would really like to know when all these people finally leave. They are quite noisy. The guard's gaze darted toward the house Rose was hinting at. Its windows overlooked the busy street, so any sound was heard at any time. I think they should leave in 2 days if they don't catch the fake robber. If they catch him, they will leave much earlier. Fake robber? I thought that an event would be held here. That's why there was so much noise. Surprisingly, Rose was a quick learner. A good actress would come out of her. No, miss, everything is much more serious. But don't worry, the case will be quickly closed. My dad's gonna play Horizon. Okay. What platform am I on? PS4. I'll let him play. Should we be afraid of him? In a manner fit for a play, the girl grabbed me under the elbow, to which I was taken aback. Her voice was trembling and her eyes became compassionate. I wonder if she fooled me like that or was seriously worried. He came at night, screwed up all the walls, and ran off as soon as the alarm went off. Scorpion, you can talk if you're there. Just Moobot doesn't like people screaming. But he didn't manage to steal anything. After the last sentence, the man laughed. He was clearly amused and not at all afraid of this situation. Stole nothing? How come? I don't know. Either had no time or did not want to. But in any case, we need to catch him. This is one of the most protected buildings in the town, and some artists hacked it. Following their conversation, I became more and more convinced that the buyer was not connected in any way with this case. I can hardly imagine how a person of such appearance and manners would vandalize the walls of the museum. Really? What was on the walls? Some squiggles that look like satanic signs. Surely the culprit's just some kind of crazy? Hiding, I suppose, in his hole far in the forest, worshipping the devils. And then we'll definitely catch him. Our police are always in action. Only if this does not apply to the cursed apartments and bitchy ladies. Well, we'll probably go. You doing good? How are you? Thanks for the info. Now we can sleep peacefully. Just talking with this decided to ignore you? I mean, I see one message from you that was deleted, but it did come through. Beaten, tired, and you. I am not as tired today, but I've been pretty tired as well. As 1 year older treating you so far? So far, it feels the same. Still feel a death's cold embrace. Now we can sleep peacefully. We had already turned around to leave as the man shouted out a random wish. Love and happiness to you. Realizing what he meant, Rose and I blushed. Okay, forest. How many now? 37. That's sad. The shades of evening began to descend. The last place in the list was a gloomy and mysterious forest. That was your guess? I forget. When is yours? Is it before or after? I know it's close. Next Tuesday. Okay, I will forget. Next Tuesday. Oh, it's after my dad. My dad's on Monday. What, how old are you? 30? 30? Are you 30 already? $33, oh man. It seemed like when I met you, you were way younger than me, and now we're super close. I guess that's how it is when we're kids. The difference is higher. Yeah, it is weird. Because now you tell me you're 33, I'm like, yeah, we're basically the same age. Yeah, maybe. Or it also has to do with how many years you've lived. So, if you have only lived 10 years, 2 years are going to be a very big length of time. If you've lived 50 years, 2 years are not that big. The last place on the list was a gloomy and mysterious forest. Many legends were written among the people about the monsters hiding in it, but no one dared to check their veracity. We made our way through the thick of the coniferous trees and bushes, and guttural cries of birds rang out over our heads every now and then. Who knows, maybe they were not birds at all. The atmosphere of this place had bothered me before, but now it seemed truly frightening. The last thing we needed doing off this busy day was to get lost where no one would look for us. But Rose confidently moved forward. An awkward silence fell between us. It does. But it might be what you said as well. It's a different maturity for us. Too little, and at the same time, too much has been said this day. Until now, I cannot really comprehend that. Just the day before yesterday, I could not even imagine the affairs happening in Northway Town. Perhaps it was worth leaving a pawn shop more often and being interested in town news? Probably not. Sometimes everything seemed like an ordinary dream, something unreal. Like the forest. This story drew me deeper and became more horrifying at the same time. The final destination was close, it is obvious, but I had more questions the closer we got. Well, it is time for me to find out everything that you've been hiding. Is it time for me to find out everything that you've been hiding for so long? Who are you talking about? Everything. About a mysterious stranger that came early in the morning as if hearing something. About the past that brought her here. And about the brooch, which properties are still not clear to me. I can't stand it anymore. Rose's uncertainty has become a familiar sight for me. But no matter how she tried to hide the details, she was not escaping my questions this time. I have to find out the truth. Are you sure? Maybe wait a little longer? Well, no, I don't intend to wait any longer. Rose wanted to speed up her pace to avoid the unpleasant conversation, but I managed to stop her. Just think, we rush about all day around the town, and now we are alone in the forest, but I still don't know what I signed up for, agreeing to go with you. Dan, let me go. You will not move until you tell me what's the matter. Okay, mister, I can't wait any longer. I'll tell you what it is. The thing is, my dearest friend, that the buyer is going to open a limbo gate with the help of a group of blockheads and call a terrible monster into the world. What? Another fairy tale about nightmares? Become responsible adults? Well, I wouldn't call myself that. This nightmare is called Oneros, and you are unlikely to have ever imagined something more terrible. An asylum for the insane is what awaits an ordinary mortal after meeting him, at best. Think for yourself the worst. Got an ad. I was like, I said talk about speak for yourself. I don't think I can describe myself that way as a responsible adult. I probably should. I wish we never meet him in reality. But if that person completes what he started, it will no longer matter. All life will turn into one endless nightmare. You're not an adult either. You are forced to be because you have a kid. The girl was moving closer and closer. When she came close, I had no choice but to retreat, when so inappropriately there was a tree behind. I will not allow this to happen due to some pawn shop receiver. Well, maybe you shouldn't have gotten rid of the thing. Clear? The girl swiftly turned and swept away. Still in mild shock, I hurried after her. What does any brooch have to do with it? It's just a piece of jewelry. The brooch allows you to fall into other people's dreams. So I met this crazy man. He was looking for the last artifact, but when he found out that it was with me, he simply lost his mind. What about Oneros? Who is he? Not who, but what? An entity foreign to our world. A demon, a monster, a fiend, a beast. They call him many different names, but I say one thing. It is better to never meet this creation of the night. Okay. Part-time adult? That's fair, that's fair. I guess I am part-time adult as well. When I have to pay taxes. The gateway to the limbo? Why is he locked up there? Since when? Most importantly, by whom? If you don't want to go crazy and be drunk to the bottom with this creature, then we should speed up then. Against my better judgment, new questions appeared in my head every now and then. Yes. But before I could even open my mouth, they shut me up right away. Shh! It seems we have arrived. Think your child is better at adulting than you are? I don't know, but I'll believe it. Some kids are a little precocious. I followed Rose's gaze and saw an old church at the edge of the forest, long abandoned, dilapidated. Now it looked a little like a sacred place which had once gathered crowds of believers under its roof. Surprisingly, no one has remembered the church for so many years. It is not even on the map. The last thing I wanted to do was go there, but Rose clearly did not share my precaution. She stopped at the entrance. The door was ajar. She has your attitude but had sassiness to it? But you are sassy too. You can be sassy. Okay, hit or miss. Rose, this is it. This is for you. John gave it to me, just in case. Hide it, and pray that you don't have to use it. Don't be afraid, you won't kill anyone. They can be neutralized in order for you to escape from here. Without giving doubts, the allowance to get even deeper into my head. I entered first and stood up, struck like a thunder. The abandoned church impressed with its dilapidated majesty. Despite the fact that no one had used it for a long time, it still retained its former atmosphere of spirituality. Even crumbling walls and faded murals did not spoil that impression. It seemed that right now the priest would come out, or the bells would ring their song. Once upon a time it was very beautiful. Still in the daze I heard voices, and they were by no means from above. Two strangers in hoods were discussing the upcoming event. What do you think? We are sure to get exactly what we want. One can expect that from him to lock us all in some nightmare and drink our strength. No, he certainly will not dare to do so. There are more of us, and the beast will be in the power of the Supreme. Beast? Rose told the truth. All this time we were successfully hidden in the shadows behind a white column, so they could not see us. As soon as the men left, I turned to Rose. I understand everything and have realized my mistake. Maybe we can go back now? No big deal. Some arrows will come out. Rose, who had been inspecting the room until that moment and paying no attention to me, looked at me condemningly. How brave you are! A perfectly normal reaction of a sane person with a working sense of self-preservation. What are you going to do? Is there any plan? I do not know. I'm not in the best position myself. Are you a man or what? Apparently not a man. Having imperceptibly picked up, the buyer took us by surprise. But before I could realize anything, a sharp pain pierced the back of my head and darkness fell. Oops. Awakening was not pleasant. My ears rang and my head felt as if it had cracked into 1,000 fragments. My throat was dry as if I had been unconscious for at least a week. My body was numb. I didn't even feel my fingers. The worst thing was to be in pitch darkness, not seeing and not hearing anything around. Suddenly my cheekbone responded with sharp pain. They removed the bag from my head and threw it aside. We were still in the abandoned church. The sunset still blinded my eyes, so I breathed a sigh of relief. Not much time had passed, which was definitely a relief. My thoughts were interrupted by a measured buzz. At the center of a chalk circle stood a bunch of people. The buzz turned out to be choral singing in a language I did not understand, which was strangely similar to German. All as one, they were in black hoods and with candles in their hands. More fanatics. Rose and I were tied. The back of my head still hurt from the blow. The man in the hood sat nearby and looked frankly bored. Or asleep. Wacky Hood. The call was in full bloom. I woke up in time. Same cannot be said about Rose. He was off sitting unconscious next to me. But where is the hero of the occasion? From my gestures, in an attempt to inspect the room, our guard woke up. Seeing that I came to my senses, he called someone. I had to push the sleeping girl so that she woke up. What? Sleepily blinking, Rose looked around. Before she could realize our deplorable situation, a sarcastic voice sounded. Well, just look who returned from the kingdom of Morpheus. It's a pity because very soon you will leave us again. He grimaced involuntarily. This freak is really crazy. As if having read my mind, he leaned forward. I told you, Dan, that you should not tell a man his business. You didn't listen to me. Sad. For you. But you are very welcome. I think that the cashier is not enough for us to do the call. You need to pick up good food for good doggies, right? So that's what he calls a terrible monster? Doggy? It would be funny if this dog had not accepted us as a snack. That's why the ticket office at the station was closed. What are you trying to achieve? Eyes of this abnormal shone with humor. What the fuck is that sentence? Should I tell you everything? Well, a little mercy. You have one try. Ask your question. Who is Oneiros? Oh, you pleasantly surprised me. I did not expect you to know about him. But a promise is a promise. Oneiros is a tool for power and my new toy. With him I can do a lot, because whoever commands dreams, he can own reality. And I would have called him earlier. But alas, this creature has special eating habits, which is why he was locked. So I will exchange you for his freedom. No offense. He wanted to say something else, but the stone on his cane lit up. Well, we don't have much time left to take up this conversation. Inject them with morphine and let's get this over and done with. It's like the infinite Tsukiyomi. The man went away and our guard was advancing on us. The hardened body didn't want to obey, so Rose and I were injected soporific without much effort. The mind gradually fell asleep. The darkness consumed me completely. No! I looked at the picture familiar to me. Pawn shop counter, comfortable armchair. coffee, and the unread copy of the Old Curiosity Shop. Dream? Just a dream. Still in a state of mild shock, I could not believe what was happening. A dream. And so realistic, I must say. I almost accepted this thought when the bell tinkled against the door of the pawn shop. Sorry, are you already open? Cannot be. The visitor was tightly wrapped in a shawl. Her hair, gathered in a bun, was hidden by a hat. I knew who was hiding under this hat. Without waiting for an answer, the girl carefully approached closer. I want to hand over one thing. Such a familiar stranger. She proceeded to place a brooch in the form of a spider on the counter. It was made of dark-colored stone with numerous specks of amber, with long pointed paws, which, it seemed, could hang onto clothes with. I drew back. It was with this damned brooch that it all started. Even if it was just a dream, I won't repeat my mistakes. I won't be able to accept it. I'm sorry. But why? Today is the cleaning day. We do not accept customers. Sorry again. If I just give it to you for free? No. I really can't take it. The girl looked depressed. But no matter how much I wanted to rip off that stupid hat and look into her eyes, I held myself back. It will be better this way. I do not advise you to give it to anyone else. Keep this thing with you, always, no matter what. You are so strange. Okay then, I'll go. Farewell. God saves man, save himself. What? The girl left, gently closing the door behind her. I think that now everything will be alright. Leaning back in my chair, I opened the book. Only 37 pages remained to the end. Bad dream. Well, that's another ending. So, to get a different one, I need to start from the very beginning.
Ready to hear, ready to listen. I've got something to
So I'm
tell you
thinking
about.
that
Ready to see, ready to witness.
if you're interested, you do that.
Hiding in crowds.
I'll do that offline. I just wanted to do a short stream, and it's done. One more game on our belt. I'll platinum this for sure because it's a short visual novel. But yeah, I don't want to stream right from the start again. So we will close shop here, and we'll see what happens in the nighttime. Short stream, like I said. I'll see you then. Hope you enjoy the game. Thanks for stopping by, hanging out, watching, and I will see you at midnight, or maybe a little earlier, because I might be a little free and want to do it earlier. Who knows? Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Let us know who is pulling the strings. Give us a hint, give us a clue.